Hello, everybody. Did it start already? No, I haven't started yet. Sorry, this is a late night. Later than I usually do because for those, refrain with me a little bit. I've been fucking crazy busy lately. Like, stupid busy. And I'm actually seeing YouTube chat today for whatever fucking reason the streaming gods have decided. Hello, 996997991. Thank you. Volume is a bit low. Okay, let me... Hey, my brain is nourished. First time seeing a DD stream. Welcome. You've picked a you've picked a time. You've picked a time. Yeah, I'm going through a yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit burnt out right now. I'm tired. I'm very tired. I've been dealing with... So some of you may have noticed that after the Matt Walsh review, the movie that I saw the same day as the Matt Walsh review, God's Not Dead 5, Revengeance, is not out on the channel yet, despite the fact that I have filmed it. That is because I have now... Oh, hi, Gwenifer. Composting, thank you for rating with the party of 5. Isaiah Wilson, would it be okay if I shared a link to a GoFundMe? I want to help a coworker who's facing medical hardships. Absolutely. I will. Yes. I will try and tag it to Twitch. So as I was saying. Right, so I've been having... It's nobody's fault. I am not going to I'm not saying it's like the advertisers or the handlers' fault or anything, but it has been a much slower process than I wanted to work with a sponsor, which is good because now I know stuff for next time. Yeah. Is it actually subtitled Revengeance? No, it's my dumb ongoing joke with the God's Not Dead franchise is that I like to give them their own their own things, their own subtitles. Johnny Viral, I tried to explain to my partner why folks who play DRDR and it was the first experience they have of Frank West is sad to me because that's not the Frank West I first met all those years ago. So I will actually, let me see where I am. Okay, cool. I'm in the security room. Life hack for everybody who's playing the Dead Rising remake. If you don't like this the old Frank West, boom. There he is. And so it says 2006 costume, but it's not actually the 2006 version. It is an updated version of that costume, so it has like higher fidelity textures. And honestly, here's the thing. The one big change that I would like to see, there's a couple changes I would like to see, quality of life improvements. The one big change I really need to see is that they add this skin as a base model. Like you can swap this out and it can be your base model. Devonte, $2. How do I make money off YouTube like you? Oh, fuck. I mean, don't go into YouTube. I did YouTube for 2 years. For 2 years, I did YouTube with literally nothing to show for it. No ad revenue. And good videos, too. You can go back and look at my videos. Some of the, starting out, some of the production value was a little bit rough. But the videos themselves, I made some really good shit. And I worked really hard. I did not blow up until I did something that went viral. Right? Let me see. Did person ever share the link I don't think you shared the GoFundMe link. Anyway. It is not... Yeah, it's not as easy as, like... I mean, one of the people we're actually going to talk about tonight, Andy Pants Gaming, is a good example of how you kind of just, like, stumble into it, depending on what you want to do, right? Because, and I talked about this in the Synthetic Man video a little bit, but you don't really get to choose your audience necessarily. Like, if I just did the church video, right, my first hate church video, and then immediately went back to full-time gaming stuff, I'm sure some people would have stuck around, but that's not the video that people started knowing me for. And so the more, like, political deep dives, well-researched content, these kind of intensive documentary pieces I started doing, interviews and stuff like that, that started to snowball. And then that's what people expect. And you can still see that, like, just go look at any gaming videos I do, which I do for literally the love of the game. So it's not as easy. All of that is to say, it's not as easy to just define something as like, oh yeah, just do this. Because everybody, there's no shortage of, like, shortcuts that people will tell you about, are like, oh, you just gotta grind, you just gotta make connects, and you just gotta put out this many videos at this many points. But that takes out so much of the, because you can do that. The problem is you can follow, say, okay, so say for example you want to do a gaming channel, right? And or now let's say, for the sake of argument, that you want to do a gaming channel and that you are more right-leaning, or you want to get in on the culture war grift or whatever. You absolutely could do the quartering route where you just talk to somebody, talk to the camera for 11 minutes, whatever the minimum requirement is to get ads, on whatever the topic of the week is, and you shit out like 3 or 4 low effort videos a day, and eventually you might get picked up by the algorithm, right? But, and this is something I've really tried. It's my friend Jessie Gender has a video out on just like, or actually not yet. She actually, I saw that video, or I saw the script for it. I'm sorry, never mind. Forget I said it, but it is not. And I want to preface that by saying that, like, her video isn't about any of those people I just talked about. It's not about, like, the right-wing space at all. It's more just, a lot of other creators know this, but it's not, if you want to do it full fucking time, that's why I stream. Like, is that I am doing okay on YouTube making money. Like, I'm doing okay. And then, like, there are people way above me, but there are people way below me too. So I fall in a nice middle line. I can pay my bills. I can't do much more than that, but I can pay my bills. And honestly, at the end of the day, I was just thinking about this, because I am so, like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I'm burnt out. I'm so tired. I have 3 big projects I'm working on. And when I say big projects, I mean like things that really require me to sit down, really, Winnie the Pooh it out, and like hand to my head, really scratch it out. But it's so, ooh, towards the end of the stream. I will save that for later, Yenza. That sounds fun. Did I have any luck getting a hold of Robert Evans? Maybe. Apparently, somebody else was telling me that he is kind of notorious for, like, starting and stopping conversations, but, whatever. Yeah, and Benny Julius. So there's 2 things. One, you absolutely could. There we go. I hope that is better. You absolutely could, like, do a gaming channel and make money off that. But the other problem is that you have to really look at and decide, okay, am I going to chase after the success of people like Quartering, Endymion, Fratanga, Rev Says Desu, fucking Melanie Mac, Nerdrotic, Like, you could list them forever and ever because there's so many of these fucking channels, which should tell you everything you need to know. It is an incredibly, incredibly oversaturated space. Like, whatever you think of their politics, whatever you think of the arguments they're making, it is so oversaturated. And the really shitty part about that is that people like the Quartering and the incredibly low skill he exhibits in making his videos, because, like, again, whatever you think of the Quartering, dude, he puts no fucking effort into his content. Never has. He puts more effort into the ads for his, like, shitty dropshipped coffee than he does his actual content. So, like, you have to kind of decide, okay, do I want to go through this soul-grinding churn on the off chance that I might get lucky and do well enough to make a living? At which point, like I said at the beginning, you still have to keep up with your audience, the audience that you are gestating, the audience that, whether you stumble into it, like I did, and then accept that. Because it's not, and again, I don't want to be like, oh, woe is me, poor me. I'm, at the end of the day, I do get to make a living doing what I love. I get to, like, go and sit in a cafe and research things intensively for 5 hours. And I get to, like, live by intellectual curiosity. I get to sit down and, like, research shit for a job. And then, there's the other fun stuff on top of that. There's, I get to have little comedy moments in my videos. I get to, like, watch movies, and I get to do streams, and I get to interact with everybody. And it's, like, all of that is wonderful. But it's also never ending. Like, I was with a partner the other day, and I was getting her first tattoo. Because there was a flash sale, and there was a really cute one. And I got a little tattoo too. And as we were talking, because there was another tattoo artist there, and we were just chatting, and they asked, okay, hey, what do you do for a job? I say, oh, I'm a YouTuber. I do this, that, and the other. And they go, oh, so I bet you're kind of always working, huh? And as I was talking to this person, just having a conversation, I realized I literally was working because I was answering comments on my latest video. And I have to answer comments. Like, if you ever see me, if a video drops and you see me in the comment section for like 24, 48 hours, that is because if I can double the amount of comments, even if it's just like a smiley face, a thumbs up, a heart, whatever, if I can double the amount of comments on a video, that will help to boost it in the algorithm. And I am, unfortunately, a slave to the algorithm, right? Like, it is the equivalent of when you're at, if you work a customer service job and you have to be oh, is there anything else I can help you with today? Or if you work at a restaurant and you have to go over and check, like, how are we all enjoying our meal? Like, and I've done those fucking jobs too, like, all that shit. It is something that you just have to do. It's just upkeep. And, yeah, that's like if you guys want to know, that is why commenting, people really, when people are like, oh, please comment, like, and subscribe, it's because that shit fucking, like, helps me big time. Like, if I miss a 24 to 48 hour window, it's honestly, it's the first couple hours, but it can pop off in that bubble still. But if a video misses that bubble to take off, it's not taking off. It just won't. Like, it just won't. It might accrue views over time. It might snowball a little bit, but it will never reach that higher echelon of, and I've recent videos that are good examples of this. My Disciples in the Moonlight video, I could not fucking tell you. I've tried to study it. I don't know why. Of all the YouTube videos I've done, of all of the movie reviews I've done, that one is now in my top 5 most viewed videos. Nobody had heard about the fucking film. Nobody was anticipating it. Was it a good thumbnail? Was it the good title? I don't know. I couldn't fucking tell you. And then I expected, like, coming right off of that, the next Bible movie, which was an arguably worse film. So I was like, okay, this one's going to be a banger. And it did, So, like, if you really want to make a living off YouTube, it is a cold, unforgiving bitch of a mistress. It is not like you have to. It's like anything else. You know, in a lot of ways, actually, it's kind of like the game industry or game journalism. Both things very similarly. If somebody asked me, "Hey, how do I get into this?" When people used to ask me a couple years ago, when I was like doing internships for Game Informer and I was working for Reliant Horror, people would come to me. I had a former friend from high school who came to me and was like, "Hey, how do I get into this? How would I get started in game journalism?" And the first thing, before any portfolios, before anything else, I would tell them was, you have to fucking love this because it will not love you back. You have to want this more than anything else. Because it will not pay you back. It will not reciprocate that for a very long time, if ever. That is why so many young gaming journalists get burnt out. People who come up thinking like, hey, I love video games. Like so many people out there. I love video games. I've played them since I was a kid. I know so much about them. I love the way they're made. I love the way they work. And they go into this field where not only are they completely like maligned by people who don't even know them just because they want to write about games for a living, but B, they're taken advantage of by publishers as basically free propaganda arms, and then just like wrung out like all of their youth and expectation and talent. And I've seen so many talented writers come and go, just get fucking ground up into gristle in the game journalism industries. And I mean, and that's, you know, that's a wider problem with the game industry as a whole. Like that the same can be said for games PR people. The exact same thing can be said for game developers. And it's weird when there's this kind of animosity you'll see sometimes towards people who have been in game development a long time or people who have been in journalism. It's less journalism, more game development. Because I think some game developers get chips on their shoulder about getting bad reviews or whatever, which, again, I understand. Like, having been both sides of the fence, I fucking get it. Like, if you work hard on something and it sucks, it hurts to be told that it sucks. Especially when it's, and if you guys don't know, I've done several documentaries on video games that came out and they sucked. And it turns out it was often not the fault of a very talented team. That's another reality of game development. And so you have like all of these things, and this, again, these are the things that if somebody told me or asked me when I was still doing game development, hey, how do I become a game developer? You have to fucking love it. And the reason I don't do much game development anymore, I don't love it that much. Like I love it a lot. I love art. I love expressing myself. I love creating a world and exploring a world and crafting an experience for a player or a viewer. I love that. Everything else about game design, or not game design, I love wholeheartedly. It's everything else about the industry and how it chews people up and spits them out that it's just not healthy. And so, like, to wrap it all back around again, I would say the exact same thing about YouTube. Devontae, $2. I'm 17. How do I overcome being lazy? 17. I mean, so here's the thing I've found. For me, when I was your age, when I was 18, I went through, and I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I imagine I probably went through something similar, where I was incredibly depressed a lot. I had just started college and was failing spectacularly because I had been kind of imbibed into a program that was not good for me. Not good for me at all. It wasn't the right fit. And it was kind of a culture shock to go from high school where I was kind of owning everything and taking AP classes to stuff that was like, oh, no, this is like an accelerated course. This is like a doctorate course. I don't belong here. And so that led me to fail, which sucks, you know, because I imagine right now you're 17. Putting myself back in the shoes I was then, when everybody is telling you, oh my gosh, everything is about you to get so big, and you have your whole life ahead of you. And for me, at the time, that made me fucking shut down. That made me go, God damn, I don't want to do any of this shit. I just want to play video games. And it got to a point, and that was kind of where I started working in game journalism and started writing on blogs and writing on websites, was to have an outlet of some kind. Have an ability to be like, okay, you know what? I'm not just sitting on the couch. I'm not just playing games. I'm doing a review. I might be getting paid for this one. I'm getting my name out there. I'm making contacts. I'm doing podcasts. And that eventually snowballed to the point where I was like, okay, I was taking this shit seriously as like something, hey, I want to do this. I want to make a go at this. And hey, it's been a fucking weird road. Like the road I've taken to get to this point, to have like even just 300 people watching me on Twitch blabbering about this shit, it's been weird. It's been fucking weird. But how to stop being lazy? I guess for me, from my experience, it was a matter of finding the thing. Most often I find with people, because it's not inherently a bad thing to like be lazy, right? Like to have a lazy day, because honestly, everybody needs that once in a while. Everybody needs a day to just chill, do fucking nothing, eat Twinkies, and sit on a couch and binge a TV show. But that is no way to live in perpetuity. And what I find when people talk about like their depressive phases or bed rotting or the things that make them depressed, or the things that make them lazy, because I had a lot of this growing up. My mom would chew me out all the time and call me lazy. And it didn't occur to me until years later. It's like, no, I wasn't lazy. I just wasn't engaged. I was not interested in what was happening. And that's not to say I was above something, but I did need more encouragement. And a lot of the time, I've told this to a lot of people who've come to me for like advice on depression, is that most of the time you are going to be your own worst enemy. You are going to be the person keeping you from doing something. And sometimes you got to kick your own ass. And if that means, hey, instead of sitting down and playing games for, 3 hours, because this is another thing. I don't really do this anymore. Or not that often. I still do it again. Like every now and then, it's fine. But like back in the day, I used to play Call of Duty and like multiplayer games for hours. When I first got internet, which was when I was 18, I would like just spend days just lost in fucking video games. It was a hyperfixation is what it was. And autistic people, ADHD people know about this. I was just glued to the TV screen because I was so invested in that, to the exclusion of everything else around me. And that's not to say like hygiene or anything, because I've never been that way, but it was like, okay, what am I going to do today? I'm going to knock out these trophies. I'm going to play this for a couple hours. I'm going to do this. And it got to a point where I would get so depressed while still playing that I was just like, fuck, man. Like I need to do something else. Like I have to do something else. I find music is good motivators. This is from chat for doing things like cleaning. Yeah, music is great. I do that all the time. Adderall introduced. I'll spend 3 hours on a comment. I've talked very openly about this, but I am ADHD. I have been since I was a kid. A big problem that compacted a lot of the stuff I'm talking about right after high school was, I don't know why, but at the time I was like, it was this, in my memory, it's this like, I'm a big boy now. I can go out into the world and I don't need these medications. And it's like, no, it turns out that sometimes some people, and it's not for everybody, it's not, but some people, our brain chemistry, the way that we're born, is innately different. And there have always been different people in the world. And one of the many benefits of living in a modern world is that we understand those things better, and we're always understanding them better. And that medical science, like ADHD, and the medications we've introduced to help that and counteract those effects are there to help you. So yeah, I realize that was a lot of personal anecdote to talk about, you know, being lazy. But if I had to sum that up, I would say laziness is often not the thing that's actually wrong with somebody, right? And it could be any number of things. It could be depression. It could be that you don't think you're good enough to do something, that you don't think you'll have a chance to do something, that you... Oh no, Johnny Viral, I see. I haven't answered much chat. Sorry. I've been just talking off the cuff here. Gray ADHD, when in a depressive rut, I dissociate with video games to avoid reality, not even having fun. It's like I'm like an outside observer watching myself play, and 5 hours feels like one. Yeah, I've been the exact same place. And I still, you know, actually I've gotten, I think after I lost my job playing games, where I was doing it like, you know, I was playing games like 5-6 hours a day to try and keep up with reviews and shit. And I was making good money, but not worth it, but whatever. It took a while to like hard reset back to being able to just like, I just want to sit and enjoy games. And even now, I've really internalized the mantra, like, I'm not going to do homework for my hobbies. And so like, if I buy a game, I've bought games at like $70. And just because I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm interested in this. I want to play it. And I have put it down because I get through it and I'm just like, I'm not having fun. Like straight up, I'm not having fun. So I'm not going to engage with it. Like life is too short to invest in things I'm not having fun doing. Unless it's for a purpose, like my shooter review series, which are fun in their own way. I kind of just don't want to do it. Feels relaxing. I should be writing for this challenge thing, but I keep avoiding the assignments. Yeah. That is, that's what I've been suffering with. For just my writing, because I am working on a novel, a manuscript, and a screenplay right now. And I've been chunking them out bit by bit, and I mean like one scene every now and again, because I have so many other things I need to write, and every time I sit down, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's like, no, I have videos I need to write because those actually pay my bills, and it's very annoying. I don't think that kid feels like doing anything other than playing video games. Like, I think there are people that are just purely lazy. I mean, there are. I think there are people who are purely lazy, but I would still say that there are probably underlying issues. Like, no person, despite what some people might think that they want, no person just sits there all day, especially if they're playing mindless games and don't have any thoughts going on up here. I don't believe that people in general are dumb enough to just be like completely lobotomized pod people playing Call of Duty all day. Now, I'm not saying that they're having like high level intellectual conversations in their head, but they are thinking of something. And whether that's thinking of what they'd like to be doing instead, whether that's thinking of all the opportunities they missed in life, they're thinking of something. And if I could talk to them, I'd say like think more about those things. Invest in those things. Find something you are legitimately passionate about, or something that you just thought of being passionate about, and try and invest in that. And it honestly doesn't matter what it is, as long as it is getting you active, as long as you can feel that you are making tangible progress towards a goal. It can be working out. It can be weightlifting or marathon running. It can be, it can be doing a podcast. It can be making YouTube videos, whatever. Because it took me, like, doing YouTube was not was never in my plan. 5-10 years ago, if you asked me, hey, 10 years ago especially, what do you want to be doing 10 years from now? Game development. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a game developer. And it just wasn't in the cards. But you have to improvise, you have to adapt, and you have to take the opportunities that come your way, and don't let them go. That's the more important part, is that do not let opportunities pass you by. Because so many people, it was something I was thinking about the other day when people were like, oh my gosh, you have a lot of stories. And it's like, yeah, because I kind of, like, after I got through that depressive phase of just sitting at home and doing nothing, I got out there. Like, I've always kind of been doing stuff. Whether that's hanging out at bars alone, whether that's just taking people up. If somebody is like, hey, you know, we're going to go for a drink. Do you want to come with? Yeah. Unless it's, you know, an quote unquote unsavory. I don't mean to sound like your mother, but like, you know, unless it's like a really unsavory crowd, unless, you know, you think something bad's going to happen, say yes. Like, go enjoy your youth, go have fun with people, go, importantly, make friends, make connections, because you never know where those are going to lead. And that could be professionally, that could be personally. Don't let, there are so many things that I'm glad I did when I was younger, but I am also constantly, what's the word? Regretful. That's a good word. Of how long I waited to do other things. And I wish I had taken more opportunities when they presented themselves. Anyway, Cyborg Grizzly Games on YouTube. One thing that can really help is making a triage list of things that you need to do when you actually draw out your priorities. Yeah. Then the only thing that you have to commit to doing is looking at it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And granted, I know a lot of people, or I imagine some people in the stream probably suffer from either social anxiety or just anxiety in general. And like, I do empathize with that. I'm a much more extroverted person, but I know a lot of people who suffered with that. And I really think, yeah, no, Angry Goose, there you go. I really want to get out there, but I am terminally introverted and awkward in person. Angry Goose, here's the thing. You're not as awkward as you think you are. I can guarantee it. Everybody who's been like, oh my gosh, I'm so awkward, I'm so weird. You're not really. Because you are, more often than not, it is because they are comparing themselves to a non-existent standard of awkwardness. Like, you think you're weird, probably because you aren't noticing how fucking weird everybody else is. Every time you walk into a room and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope people don't notice me. I hope I'm not being too awkward. Did I make that weird? Did I make that interaction weird? Every time you're wondering that, the person you just got done talking to, or 5 other people in the room, are going, oh my God, I hope I didn't make that weird. Was that too weird? Are people looking at me? Is that weird? Like, everybody's a fucking weirdo. Everybody's a fucking weirdo. And people need to stop, unless it's something that's like truly grievous or overstepping somebody's bounds, people need to not be so fucking weird about it. Antithesis, sorry I missed this, or I didn't miss it, but thank you for waiting. Thank you for super chatting $5. After I got my ADHD diagnosis and Adderall, I ran into the opposite problem of being unable to stop working. Yeah. If you'll notice, I'm kind of on one right now. That is because I have found my special elixir, Celsius energy drinks, which are apparently one of the only energy drinks that work on me. And I feel like I'm on cocaine when I take them. And I've been drinking them to have good streams, which is very fun. Yeah, because I need to keep working. Juliana, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Mockingbird, and Velvet Bnee, thank you for following. Thank you for weirding. You're welcome, Hulkenbreak. I hope, Deontay, I hope that, Devonte, I hope that answers your questions. Oh, wait, sorry, I did not see the other one. I want to do commentary like you and Synth. Okay, so, sorry, Devonte, I missed your question. Me and Synth have very different styles of commentary, I would say. I guess I kind of see what you're talking, I kind of see what you're meaning. I mean, putting aside the very obvious political differences between me and Synth, the most important thing is finding your voice. Finding what you want to say, how you want to say it. Finding the kind of audience that you want to attract. Make sure that's the audience you want. And like just reach for those goals. Like if Synth wants to be a pathetic, weird doomer who complains about Jews and bug people, whatever. Like, that's, I suppose that's his right as an American, regrettably. But I have no doubt that that's who he is, that that's the content he wants to make. And his audience knows that. His audience has gravitated to him over that. That's the reason he has an audience. Oh yeah, Angry Goose, you absolutely should. All right, my cat has been yelling at me because I haven't given her wet food, so I will be right back, and then we'll actually go into the TUAH podcast, Talk TUAH. I'll be right back. Why are you yelling at me? Are you good? The one other thing I would say, Devontae, I don't know if he's here or not, but the one other thing I would say is if you want to do commentary, take passion in your work. Like, again, political shit aside, one of the things that truly rankles me about Synth is that, and the reason he's really no better than the quartering over this, is that he does not give a fuck about the craft of his work. If you are spending the time to put your name on something, like I'm not saying every video I've made is perfect, but I have put the effort into it. I put time into it. When I make a stream highlights video, I don't just fucking upload an entire stream or cut, oh, here's where I stopped talking about, I cut out all the stuff to make it a more watchable version. Sometimes I'll even put stuff in to make it more fun to watch. If you want to be a commentator, don't just be like fucking Andy Pants Gaming either. Just ranting over footage of one game. Like fucking mix it up a little bit. If you are going to be a good video essayist, excuse me, which again, very crowded space, very hard to get a foothold in. Those, you are messing with a niche of niches, because not only when you make a video essay do you have to be covering a game people care about, which unless you're making video essays on the latest and greatest, people generally don't, you have to be saying something people want to hear. Okay. Synth's pronouns are God, I can't. Give me 10 minutes. I'll think of a great synthetic man pronoun joke. But I can't right now. All right. So, because I'm in a brain rot mood, and I'm going to be playing some games while going through this, we're going to watch. So, I want to watch some of the Talk TUAH podcast. And yes, you heard that correct. The TUAH girl. So, here's the thing. This TUAH girl shit is maybe one of the worst examples of a... Okay, so it's not even an industry plant, right? Because, what industry would she be? YouTubers? I guess she could be a podcast industry plant. But, you see this happen every now and then, and it's been happening really since viral videos took off, where as soon as a viral person blows up, they're like, some agent in LA is like, oh, hey, let me represent you and I can get you this, that, and the other. And Hawk TUAH Girl apparently said yes to literally every offer that came her way in a way that is so profane to just good taste, common decency, honestly. RiseCon, hi streamer, hi chat. I imagine first time chatter message will be popping up. Have had a few drinks, thank you. But as a mostly closeted guy up to this point, is this a good place to ask questions if I'm genuinely curious about dating as a 30-year-old who has never dated before? Yeah. I'm sincerely apologetic if not, just looking for the right space. Sure. I mean, like, we're talking about something else, but I'll try. Keith Storm, thank you for subscribing with Prime. Oh, God, the Cash Me Outside chick. Oh, God, I forgot about... What's her name? Lil Baby? Fat Baby? What was her name? What was the Cash Me Outside girl's name? Fat Baby. Bad Baby, that's right. Fat Baby. What? I'm sorry. Fat Baby is now... in my mind, she's always going to be Fat Baby. Now, that's so stupid. Why did I say that? No, you guys are right. It's Bad Baby with an H for some goddamn reason. RiseCon, I don't want to disrupt convo. I ask my questions at some point, but I'll pay attention to what is going on first. We're just shooting the shit right now. Danielle Brazzoli, yeah. Can't blame her for trying to cash in on her 15 minutes of fame. Well, like, so that's the thing, is that I think people like Cash Me Outside Girl, and like a lot of people who have these kind of viral moments, it's so hard to like get a viral moment now because the idea of viral moments has been studied to death. Like, so many marketing books and marketing departments and classes have been held on like, oh, here's how to make your product go viral, and here's this, that, and the other. And you see it every year. You've seen it every year for like at least a decade at the fucking Super Bowl, where they'll have, oh, here's an ad where this ugly chubby dude is gonna kiss this super hot supermodel, and they're gonna make out, and it's gonna be gross, and everybody's gonna fucking talk about it. Or Here's a video where we killed the Planters peanut, but actually Baby Nut is back. Isn't everybody so thrilled about Baby Nut? We're gonna hashtag Baby Nut during the fucking Super Bowl because people are gonna talk about it, right? So getting something genuinely viral at this time is rare. Because there's still that element of something that is weird and only a human being could think up on the spot and kind of awkward that fueled a lot of the most original, like, viral posts, the original memes, like stuff like Leave Britney Alone, like shit like that, right? Not kind of like more weird stunty stuff like Chocolate Rain and oh, fuck. Just some other... you know, a great example, another one that went viral. The Knife Girl. What have you got in your hand? A knife! No! Like, classic. I quote it all the time to my fucking partners. Like, it's a classic. Because it's such a weird... It's just such a weird, genuine human reaction. It's so sudden and funny. It's set up, punchline. Everybody can recognize it. But, like, that really is, I guess, what happened with the Hawk TUAH Girl. Except, like, even when I saw that, because I knew it was the meme of the month, you know, like a new meme comes around every month. Right now it's Moodang. I love Moodang, would die for Moodang. But the Hawk TUAH Girl, like, as soon as I saw people talking about On That Thang and Hawk TUAH, I was like, oh, this is a dumb month. This is a dumb fucking month. I'm just going to skip this month. I don't care about this month. It reminded me of years ago, What the Fox Says, or What Does the Fox Say? I don't know, because I abstained. I'd never watched that video. I've never heard that song in my life. I don't know what the fuck says. I don't give a fuck. And that's the way I'm staying. Point is, sorry, somebody said something about twinks I wanted to read. I forgot what it was. No. Oh, okay, it's $5. Okay, you spent $5 to tell me about the twinks. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. What was I saying? If you can tell, my brain is fried. It's been a day. I forgot. What were we talking about before twinks? Hawk TUAH. Right, Hawk TUAH. So when the Hawk TUAH thing came out, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be fucking stupid. And I was right. And when I actually saw the video though, I was like, what? Like this is the girl who's going viral. Like a like 20s white girl named Haley who just got drunk and said some shit about blowing a dude. Like that's what people were like freaking out about. Within like a week, she was on stage with like big country musicians, and I'm like, fucking what? Well, my brain is nourished. Skibbity Bee Toilet is different. Skibbity Bee is like more like that's more Zoomer viral. That's more like not what's the word I'm looking for? That's an organic viral thing through, don't get me wrong, through the stupidity of the youth. But as has always been the way with the internet. Like some of the best and worst things are viral because kids are dumb. And that's like that's not going to change anytime soon. But no, yeah, goddamn it. I'm sorry, hang on now. Skibbity Bee Hawk Toilet. Thank you for spending $2 to tell me that. I appreciate it. I'm glad my eyes saw that. Somebody said the Hawk TUAH girl can get you pregnant. Fine, Jesus. What the fuck is a hedonist? Actually, just wondering. I mean, like, it depends on who you ask. Some people would use it as a derogatory term, but it mostly just means somebody who lives life for pleasure. Like you live to find pleasure in things. Like that is the most basic. That is the most basic explanation. But you know, some people would be like, oh, you know, gay people are all hedonists because they, you know, are anti having fun or whatever. Yep, walk TUAH the polls. Vote on that thing. It's coming. That's coming from Kamala. Don't count it off. Like, okay, so here's the problem, right? Before we go into this, I realize this has been a lot of preface. Stick with me here. Lorelei Cowtarn, thank you very much for being a member for 2 months. I have Kitty on lap. I wish I had Kitty on lap. Oh, fuck, I missed the twink thing. When you cry, $2. Starting to think maybe I'm just a hedonist. When you cry, thank you for super chatting, $5. I sometimes like to watch gay porn with twinks and femboys, but only back shots. But I'm straight and have no attraction to men at all. Am I gay? I mean, you're not. If you don't know, like, okay. Oh, this is such a deeper question. Like, because, okay, so I have the joke, I've told it before, but I did a stand-up bit about, I had a stand-up bit about straight guys who get paranoid jacking off to trans porn, and for me, okay, so I'll do the bit, whatever. But like, as if I was on stage doing stand-up, the bit goes, for the couple people who haven't heard it by now. How does it start? It's like, oh yeah, I talk about, because it segues in from another joke. It's like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm talking about porn comment sections and how, like, I don't even watch the videos anymore. I just read the comments. I love reading the comments in porn comment sections. I don't even watch the videos anymore. I just read them for the articles. Because you go down into the porn comment sections, and there's always the same couple ones. Like, you'll always find the same comments no matter what video you're looking at. There's always that one guy who's like, man, I wish this would happen to me. As like, yeah, that's why we're here. But there's always one guy, especially on trans porn. There's always that one guy who jacks off, comes, and just because the chick had a dick, he goes, am I gay now? Like, I try to envision that homophobic little voice in the back of his head being like, oh yeah, you like big tits, fat ass, lots of makeup, long hair, smooth skin, faggot. And that's the punchline. Sorry, I should have done a slur warning for that. But the reason why people generally laugh at that joke is because it's silly to put down the thing you're attracted to physically about somebody to genitals, right? Like you can have a perfect example of this, right? There is no shortage of videos out there of like dumbass streamers like going up, talking to hot girls and being like, oh, hey, yo, what's your number? What's your name? And then, 5 minutes into the conversation, they're risen her up. They're like feeling good. And she goes, yeah, I'm trans. And they go like, yeah, and of course they fucking play it up because they're like, yo, what? Oh, that's crazy. But if you asked them before she said that, before they knew, and here's the thing, she might have had bottom surgery. They might not even know what genitalia she has. But before they knew, if you asked them, hey, do you want to take her home? Are you attracted to her? The answer is yes. Has nothing to do with her genitalia. Has everything to do with the physical presentation and characteristics that they find attractive, right? So if you find femininity attractive, if you're attracted to twinks and femboys, like, you can be bi, or you could just be attracted to femininity. Like, and I'm not here to, give a treatise on that, but like, that's up for you to discover and decide. Greg Hinojos, thank you for $5. If dog says hi and we don't say hi back, what do? She's busy with bone right now. Brody, thank you very much for $5. Do you subscribe to the belief that if you have a cat in your lap, you must accommodate the cat or not? Yes. Yeah, y'all have seen my cat in my lap. Greg Hinojos, thank you for $2. Skibbity Hawk Toilet. That's the second time somebody's given me money, so I'll say Skibbity Bee Hawk Toilet. Being a streamer's cool. It's so fun. Oh, attraction is stored in the balls is what I was laughing at a second ago. Yeah, like, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, nobody gives a fuck. As long as you're not weird about it, nobody cares. Like, that's... There's this bizarre constructed notion... Excuse me. I'm talking a lot in rapid succession, so I'm getting all congested. There's this bizarre constructed notion, and I'm glad a lot of people have moved away from it, but the idea that, like, if you're gay, or if you're a gay man, or even if you're just bi, or interested in men, or find men attractive, there's this idea that you are... And it's like 80s homophobia. Like, it's bizarre. Where people assume that you are just, like, a skinny little effeminate, like, oh my God, like... They assume that you are just a stereotype of a gay person. Let me tell you, most gay people I know, like, not all, but most of them keep it tight. Keep it, but the most physically fit. Like, people I would look at in a crowd of people, if I'm like, okay, who do I want to pick for an ass-kicking contest? I want them on my team. You understand? And not just that, but like, have y'all seen bears? Not wood bears, gay bears. Like, there is a reason why leather culture for so long was so tied to gay culture. It's because of bikers. It's because of literal gay bikers. like leather daddies, and like people you wouldn't want to fuck with. And guess what? Those people haven't gone away. Like some of the toughest people I know, like when I was working security, some of the like bouncers you'd never be able to fucking tell, but they'd have a drink after work and be like, oh yeah, this is my boyfriend, and neither of them have the traditional idea of what looks gay. And it's at that point, it's one of those things where people make those assumptions because they don't actually know a lot of those people. They haven't actually experienced life. This is another reason why I say, if you take every opportunity you can to go out, meet people, experience the world, taste different food, experience different flavors, because it will show you things that you didn't know about yourself, but also completely destroy your concepts of everything else in a good way. Allow you to rebuild that for yourself. Greg Hinojos, thank you for another $2. Hawk to a spit on that phlegm if you're congested. You're just the soul of a poet, Greg. When you cry, thank you for $5. Honestly think, oh wait, hang on. Honestly think I just have corn brain now. And first it started out by just POV backshots on Twink, and now I can watch femboys full frontal. I gotta stop. Why? Like ask yourself, okay, so here's the thing. If you really think that RiseCon, yes, there's a Discord, you got to pay $3 a month on Patreon. I keep it closed to avoid harassment and brigading and stuff. Is there a term for the gay accent? Is it from an actual geographical region? Yeah, San Francisco. No. Benny Julius, thank you for another $5. Do you think trans men and or people are masculine presenting or fetishized to the same extent as trans women? No. Trans men are not fetishized the same way as trans women. More feminine type people. Feminine type people are absolutely more fetishized, especially trans women, because they are seen as something forbidden. They are seen as something, verboten and like, it is all about the perceived power dynamics that men have in society. And granted, this isn't get into like some soy boy patriarchy shit, so bear with me here. But like, there is a reason why there are so many porn videos that are, barely 18 girl destroyed and stepmom stuck in dryer and it's so rough, but she loves it. Is because that plays to this idea of porn and sexuality as an escapist fantasy for men on one level, but also a power fantasy, right? Where they can have anything they want. And trans women fall under that category of what they want. Like, they want to subjugate, not all men, obviously. I'm not saying that. I wanna be very clear about this. I don't believe that all men are like this by any stretch. But there is a subsection, and it is proven by the popularity of these genres, the overwhelming year-over-year popularity of these genres and types of videos, unfortunately, that kind of subjugation of femininity is what a large portion of the audience wants. So having something that appears, and when I say something, I mean like the genre, not the person, but having trans men who in most cases just look like men. Like those are just dudes, those are just twinks, those are just twunks, those are just otters or bears or whatever. That does not play to the fantasy the same way. And that's not to say there's no audience for it, because obviously there is. But it is not on even ground with the way that trans women are fetishized, because not because trans men are less valuable or less desired overall, but because of the way straight men kind of have a monopoly on what appeal in porn is focused on, right? DJ, thank you for subbing. Brody, thank you for 5. Can you read this quote, please? You got to give him that hawk tua and spit on that thing. You're going to clip that, aren't you? Also, have you heard of the Andrew Schultz podcast drama? I have not. I don't do more drama. But I meant to say, okay, sorry, when you cry, all right, y'all have got me off track here so many times, but it's okay. I feel this is a good, important conversation to have. When you cry, honestly, I think I just have porn brain now and first started it by POV backshots on Swinks, and now I can watch femboys full frontal. I gotta stop. Now, my big question there is why? Why do you feel like you gotta stop? I have to stop because it's messing. Asked and answered. Thank you for $5 more. I have to stop because it's messing with my dopamine. I think I'd let it get out of hand. Porn is dangerous. That's why I have no desire for that in real life. So this might be TMI. It will be of no shock to anybody that along with my depression in those early years after high school, porn consumption was sky high for me, ridiculously high. And a lot of that came with internalized guilt over ideas about, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to hell for doing this and like that kind of stuff before I kind of deconstructed that aspect. But it also came with worries about like, oh God, am I burning myself out? Am I going to get erectile dysfunction? I hear this can make you go blind. It's that great old joke of like, my dad told me if you masturbate too much, son, you're going to go blind. I said, Dad, I'm over here. Not my joke, by the way, but that's a classic. Everybody's heard that one. The odds are there is some truth to the idea that, okay, and again, this is there. It is less probably that you have porn addiction and more that you have an underlying issue, whether that is depression, whether that is anxiety, whether that is that you just need something else to stimulate your brain. You have continued to gravitate towards that because and again, I'm talking from experience here, that is the thing that like, okay, boom, brain can get a quick hit of dopamine, we're going back to it, right? And after a while, yes, literally anything will decrease in dopamine over time. Two things. One, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have no desire for it if you haven't actually tried it in real life. Two, I don't think porn is dangerous. I think relying on it for that dopamine is dangerous. And I say that as somebody who has gone through that phase and who, like, still pretty regularly, like, this might be a little TMI. Everybody knows this. I have multiple partners. Male, female, cis, trans. Like, I have multiple partners. And I have, like, we do stuff sexually fairly often. I also still look at porn pretty often. And that doesn't diminish the feelings of physical intimacy I have at all. Now, as also to say that, like, I am not spending the amount of time or energy on that as I was when I was younger. Some of that is just growing up and maturing. But also, I don't internalize it as a bad thing. Like, everybody rubs one out. It's fine. But if you are consistently doing it, then that is the problem. Not even consistently doing it. If you are doing it to the detriment of things around you, that is the problem. Because it is like, it's the same thing as when WoW first came out, right? And WoW was a massive hit, and people were talking about, like, I remember there were controversies. Because I remember, like, the news when WoW came out, and fucking South Park made the episode about, like, the kids getting addicted to WoW. And it's because, like, WoW and MMOs like it are basically dopamine conveyor belts. Like, it is, and it's the same thing. We've seen it so many times. It's why so many fucking people won't stop making live service games, because people become engaged in the gameplay loop, the number go up game. Like, just, okay, maybe just one more mission, then I can unlock this gun or this fucking shield or whatever the fuck, right? Or like, ooh, okay, there's an event, so I gotta grind 20 hours to, and let me tell you, again, as an ADHD person, as somebody who has struggled with, like, those feelings of dopamine addiction, it took a while for me to realize and step back from a lot of games like that and being like, shit, man, I put 700 fucking hours into Overwatch. Like, what? And it was because a lot of that, like, okay, next game, this is gonna be the next one, and it's a scratch off game, right? And I'm going through it right now still with Magic the Gathering. Not nearly as bad as it could be. But it is that kind of, you are always chasing that high. The Pup, thank you for $2. Corn doesn't appeal to me. I prefer written content. Lord Cheesington over here does not have time for your petty pornographic imagery. I prefer my tawdriacs to be in written form. I am a man of literature. Thank you, the Pup, for contributing to the conversation. When You Cry, thank you for $2. I like Clam, but I like Bussy on video due to Corn. Bro, you would probably like that Bussy in real life too. Like, gay sex here. All right, so here's the problem with gay stuff on porn. Gay porn stars, especially young ones, are, much like young women in porn, horrifically mistreated a lot of the times. Not only are they like basically physically abused because of porn, and again, not every, like, this stuff is slowly getting better, but it is an industry-wide problem. Porn is not like real life sexuality. That being said, if you find a male attractive, and it is not because you see them femininely, it is not because you find their femininity attractive, then, like, you probably, like, I would just say, don't knock it unless you try it. At least go on a date with somebody, right? Find a twink on Grindr. See if you hit it off. Maybe you will. Who knows? Brody, super chat at $2. Do you think tragedy plus time does equal comedy? To that, I would say, man, there's some great 9/11 jokes this year. Great 9/11 jokes this year. See, When You Cry. Okay. When You Cried, that's the shit I'm talking about. $2, bro. I don't like the smell of poop, lol, just Clam. If you've... Liv Agar. I love Liv Agar. Oh, God. Oh, no. I lost his comment. No. What's his face? Said something. RiseCon. Sorry, you typed everything out and I missed it. Oh, were you on Twitch? I think you might have been on Twitch. Aha, there you are. Okay, I'll talk to RiseCon in a second. When You Cry. See, that's the thing I'm talking about with, like, gay porn not representing reality. Unless something has gone terribly awry, you're not smelling poop. Like, that is propaganda from Big Straight. Like, look up how to do anal safely. You should be fine. Like, again, unless something has gone horribly awry. Bro, do you really think there's all these people out here just like come on. Come on. Do you think the gays have not figured out? The gays, famously all about hygiene, cleanliness, upkeeping appearances. And you think they haven't figured out how to not do that? Come on. No. Lewis, thank you for New Zealand dollars, $8.99. You got to give him that damn, Daniel, and spit on that thing. All right, I'm going to go over to RiseCon real quick. Over on Twitch, so I guess the big question would be, I don't know the average age of this chat. If you were to come across a gay guy who's a virgin, I ultimately don't know the reasons myself other than fear at age 30, who was seeking not just a relationship about sex, but something deep, meaningful. What would be something you would want to see? Something from someone like me. What do I need to work on? I mean, like, Here's the problem, and this is a wider problem with gay people, is that a lot of gay youth are very, very not narcissistic isn't quite the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? Conceited. Oh, it's right. It's on the tip of my tongue. Narcissistic, conceited, superficial. That's the word I'm looking for. And that fades away as people get older. So I think looking in your age group, probably a better idea. Than like, and just in general, I advise that. Like, generally don't go. I try to stick between like 4 years either direction of my age, just so I have like commonalities with somebody, things to actually talk about. Because other than that, like, you probably don't have a lot of shared life experience. That's not a good basis for a relationship, honestly. Unless you get into like 40s, 50s, and then it starts mattering a little bit less. Being a virgin should not... I understand why that would give somebody hesitation, right? But generally, that won't be the first thing that like comes up on a date that people will talk about. It's not like you go to a date with a gay person and they're like, oh, hey, you're not a virgin, right? Okay, cool. Like, be yourself. Be who you want to be, right? Be who you would want to see in a relationship. If that is somebody who is trusting and caring and thoughtful, then try to be that. Like, if you want somebody in a relationship to be understanding and patient, then you should strive to be that as well. And hey, you might strike out a couple times. That's the way relationships are. Like, it sucks, but that's true. That's just the way it is. But there's absolutely somebody out there who will love you for you, and I fully believe that. Fitzpatrick's, thank you for $20. Good God. Thank you so much for this conversation. We haven't even talked about Talk TUAH yet. Written kink material is more fun because visual kink stuff can be ruined by bad acting or art. I guess. Like, I look, as somebody who has imbibed a fair amount of all kinds of content, I see the merits of everything. Manifest, thank you for becoming a member for 2 months. I'm not looking that up. The feds already have my search history. LMAO. Also, I'm not dating a gender fluid person. I'm not dating a gender fluid person. It makes me so happy as a half gay. Do you mean you are dating a gender fluid person? Brody, thank you for $2. Why are conservative stand-up comedians so unfunny? They can't see past their... Mostly, I find, like, it varies from person to person, but I find it's because they can't really see past their own grievances. Is generally what I see. Goodbye, Logan Mansion Games. Greg Hinojos, thank you for $5. You know he had to do it to him and spit on that thing. Do you think people find being a virgin more attractive? No, it depends. You know, it for some people, that is absolutely like... So again, kind of depends on what you're looking for in that reason. For some people, that is kind of unfortunately actually a fetish. And I say unfortunately because, like, that you want somebody, if you are going to have a first time with somebody, you want them to actually care about you, right? And that goes for pretty much anybody having sex. Like, and that I have had my fair share of, like, just nothing friendly hookups. That's fine. But do not ever share that kind of intimacy with somebody, even if it's casually, with somebody who you do not think would, like, care about you in the morning. Somebody who you do not think, if you got hit by a bus, they wouldn't regret telling you something. Like, even if it isn't, like, a friend, close friend, have them mean something to you, right? What's the topic I just got here? Fuck, I don't even know, Moodles. King Kerplunk, thank you for $1. You're cool. I'm okay. Virginity isn't real. I mean, like, it kind of is. Joe Arnold, do you have creepy dudes where it's tied into wanting very young girls as their victims? Yeah. And that ties into the kind of the fetishism that we were talking about in the wider porn industry, which is a very big fucking problem. Like, very big fucking problem. What would you say is the difference between just a thing you like and a paraphilia or a fetish? Like, is there a line or what? I mean, like, there are things you like during sex, right? And sometimes that, like, that might not take precedent, right? But if you continually go out of your way to, like, seek it out, and the act, whatever it is the thing that is arousing you, the idea of either doing that to somebody or having it done to you, usually having it done to you, that is a fetish. And fetishes aren't a bad thing, because guess what? Literally fucking everybody has fetishes. Sorry. Doesn't matter how boring or conservative, like, you might not want to think about it. Your parents have fetishes. They do. There was probably a time. I was thinking about this in terms of it was I was watching the stupid fucking Salvet Satanis. Is the Dead Rising remaster worth it? I heard some of the voice acting, it was kind of jarring. The voice acting gets better. I do not like Brad. I straight up don't like the Brad voice actor, because, like, Brad in the first one gave such a fucking good performance. And I think that Frank's voice actor, he grows on me. He's not terrible, but he grows on me. Brody, thank you for $2. You got a hawk to and spit on that thing. Sharakor, thank you very much for following. Kinkerplunk, thank you for following. What are we talking about the last 20 seconds? What the hell happened? Gotta sleep, am tired. Now. Oh yeah, they were talking about fetish. Like, everybody. No, so aren't fetishes often hereditary? I doubt they are. So it's, I'm sure there's no settled science on this, but I believe, from what I remember, it is, like, probably a mix of, hey, dog, can you not, please? All right, I'll be right back. Here, go. Leave me alone. It is a mix of both nature and nurture, right? What you're describing is kink, not necessarily fetish. Yeah. Right, so I was talking about that. I was thinking in terms of, like when people, because I was watching that dumbass Andy Pants Gaming channel, one of his most recent videos, about, like, talking about how, well, we're tired of having gay men having sex shoved in our faces. And it's like, no, like, nobody's doing that. And if you don't want to see gay men having sex, you can just not look. I don't blame you. If you're not into that, if you are not homosexual, I don't blame somebody for not, like, necessarily wanting to see that. If that doesn't interest you, fine. Guess what? Those people probably feel the same way about other shit. That's fine. That doesn't mean, and I remember I was relating that to the idea of, like, okay, think about it, because so many straight people define that as, like, their metric for something that's disgusting. And a lot of it has to do with the idea that, like, you know, people still apparently believe that gay people have sex with poop involved, which is, again, some like 70s, 80s homophobia. It's like, come on, y'all. Just not the fucking case. Not the fucking case. And part of that is, like, just the internalized homophobia of society, right? But if you think, like, let me put it to you like this. If you think that two people who love each other or are affectionate towards each other, it's gross for them to express that affection, how do you feel about that? And again, this is a weird hypothetical, but walk with me here. When it comes to your parents, right? Because, and I'm willing to bet a lot of you right now are like, I don't like, exactly. You don't like thinking about that. You shouldn't. You shouldn't like thinking about that kind of thing with your parents. But separate your emotions from that for a moment. Do you think that your parents, as if you are an adult, right? If you are, especially if you're married, if you have kids, if you have been married and now you understand like what it's like to be married and have a sex life, would you begrudge your parents sexual intimacy? Would you not want your parents to have sex? To have an intimate relationship? Especially now that you understand how hard that might be to maintain? Of course, you're probably not going to go talk to your parents about it. God, just for secondhand weirdness, I hope you don't like go and ask your like, hey, Dad, how's the sex life with Mom? Please don't. We don't need to go there. But just as a thought experiment, right? People should be allowed to be happy, even if on a personal level, you find the image of them being intimate distasteful, and there's an easy solution. Just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Put it out of your head. Next time somebody's homophobic about like, oh God, I don't want to see two gay men. Think about your parents. Probably don't want to think about that either. But are you going to get mad at your mom and dad showing love for one another, being intimate, connecting on a physical level? Probably not. Especially if you've been in their shoes now, if you've matured enough to the point where you realize what it's like to have that lifelong bond with somebody, assuming that your parents are still together and stuff. Joe Arnold, nah, my parents are old. They go on trips and stuff. I'm happy for them, and I never want to think about what they do ever again. Please stop. Joe, do you want to know what your parents are doing on those trips? I can tell you. You had to be made somehow, Joe. You had to be made somehow. Loving each other after 20 years. Sorry, guys. My parents think hugs are gross. That's what they tell you. That is anti-child propaganda. I can manifest. Your parents are freaks. Certified. 7 days a week. Juliana, thank you for gifting a sub to Tomboy Succubus. Hey, Billy. I saw you say, I will tell a lady that you miss her. After 20 years together, no one fucks anymore? Not true. Not true. Again, they just keep it on the DL. If anything, they're doing even weirder shit. You think you got kinks? Ho ho! You talk to a happily married. You talk to a happily married couple for 20 years, you have seen nothing. Nothing. Leto Dolas, thank you for resubscribing for 2 months. I don't know why anybody's subscribing for this. Lexi Cubed, I'm asexual, so this stream is just spelled. I apologize to all my asexuals. If you are still fucking your partner after 20 years, seek therapy. Yeah, if you're still love and are attracted to somebody you said you're going to spend the rest of your life with, seek therapy. Come on, dude. Come on, you don't like my music. What are you doing? What are you doing? The parents call each other super freaks. That's a good thing. You should, here's the weird part, right? That's a good thing. You don't need to be involved in it. I hope you're not. Again, you don't need to have conversations, but you should want your parents to have a healthy sex life. Again, if you are a married person, if you know how hard it is to maintain an intimate connection as two adults, if you are a two-person household, especially if you have a kid, how fucking hard it is to maintain that connection through all the frustrations of modern adult life. 2 jobs, balancing bills, taking kids to fucking soccer practice and school and finding ways to pay for all this shit. You should want your parents to be just fucking during retirement, right? You should want that for yourself. That's the dream. Okay? That's why this is a famously true fact. Down in like Florida, in the retirement communities, massive epidemics of sexually transmitted diseases every year over year. Because it's just a bunch of old people, like retired, and they're 60s, 70s, 80s, just fucking. Because old people be fucking. They've lived their life. They want to have that intimacy. They want to have that connection. Right? Who's going to begrudge them that? Who cares? You might think it's gross. I think it's kind of gross. Not into it. Not into oldies. That's fine. I don't need to be. That was the whole point of what I was originally getting at, is like, I don't need to be. That doesn't mean other people don't deserve to be happy, right? You don't need to be into it. You should still want other people to be happy, right? As long as nobody's getting hurt. RiseCon, my gayness has been weird. It came out to, god damn it, RiseCon. Your thing went away again. All right, I'm going to try and find it again. Okay, there it is. RiseCon, my gayness has been weird. It came out to my friends, first at 16 for the first time, to my dad and brother at 30. I don't know what I expected, but just don't tell me about it. Or, yeah, so-and-so brought that up, and I said, it's his life. I don't know what to do with. I mean, like... Okay, so... I had somebody contact me a couple months ago. It was a parent of a gay kid who had come out and was 18, and they wanted to be supportive. They had watched some of my content and emailed me just kind of looking for advice, and I was very touched by it. And so I took time and drafted a nice email kind of explaining, because they just wanted to know what they could do. They were just kind of scared at like just the state of the world around queer people right now. And they wanted to know, how do I keep my kids safe? Like, how do I make sure that they're happy? And it's like, for a lot of parents, it's hard to be supportive because you have your idea of what you want your kid to be, and when they turn out to be something else entirely, of course parents still want to, they love their kid. They always will, hopefully. If they're a good parent. We've covered some miserable motherfuckers like Steven Anderson, who I don't think has any right having children. But outside of miserable scum fucks like that, most parents, even if they have a hard time showing it, want to love their kids. They want the best for their kids. And they have a hard time accepting that they don't always know what that is. And that especially comes up when a kid is like, hey, I'm gay. My mom, to her credit, has been trying. I won't say the boy's actual name because he pops up in chat sometimes. But I started talking about, because last year I was dating two partners, and I was like sitting down having dinner with my mom, which I only do every couple months. And she was like, oh, how are the girls who are my two partners? I was like, oh, they're good. I'm actually seeing somebody else. And my mom was like, oh, what's her name? And I said, let me think of a name that's not his name. Every name I think of is just stupid. All right, fine, whatever. So the point is that I said a boy's name. So I was like, it took me a couple seconds, and I was like, Travis. Travis isn't his name, by the way. Bad name, but whatever. And it took her a couple minutes to process, because to my mother's knowledge, I had only ever been interested in... I'd been married to a cis woman, for several years. When my mother inevitably, found me with, like, porn in high school and yelled at me about it, it was straight porn. Like, my mother had no idea for so long. I didn't know. Right? It took a long time to kind of come to terms with that aspect of my sexuality. And that's the other thing. Guess what? Sexuality fucking changes. It's fluid. You might not like the same things in 10 years that you do like now. It might take time to be like, you know what, I actually do want to try this. You know what, I actually am kind of into this. But yeah, long story short, it was funny because my mom grew up in the 80s, right? And that was an era where being gay was, for mainstream America, that was tantamount to a death sentence. Like, the AIDS crisis was no fucking joke. And so that is what my mom thinks of, right? And so she is immediately like, I know she trusts me to be responsible, and I am, but she is like kind of scared and rattled over that, which is like a little bit funny. But Brandon, I should have gone with Brandon. Brandon would have been a better name, RiseCon. What was I saying? Mom. But like, the thing is that I know my mom is curious, but she doesn't want to ask anything. Like, I know she's relatively curious of, like, you know, like, if I'm the bottom or the top or whatever, but she will never ask. Again, some boundaries, good not to cross with parents. We don't need to. Nobody needs to, honestly, right? Unless you are 12 and they're giving you the talk for the first time, I think that's fine that we put that in a box. We never talk about it for our entire lives. That's fine. But again, like, it's this kind of thing that parents have a hard time wrapping their heads around because they understand, right? Most straight parents, people who have never had, and a lot of men especially, completely repressed those ideas. If they, like, maybe I am I? No, they shove that deep down. Doug, you're just like chewing right into the mic. Can you go over there? Thank you. What was I saying? And so they understand, like, you know, it's like when parents talk to their kids about sexuality. It's like they understand the viewpoint that they're coming from. If a dad talks to his son, generally, about sex, they're able to say, like, oh, you know, sometimes, you know, a girl might pick on you in school, but that's just because she likes you, which is bullshit, by the way. But also, that's based on his experience. When parents have a kid who comes out as gay or trans, most of the time, 90% of the time, those parents have no, like, idea what that's like. Like, they have no fucking point of reference for how to give you advice, for how to understand that relationship. They think it's like, you know, a lot of them probably think it's just, like, entirely different. It's not really. It's really not. Like, it's just not. Sucks being bi and atheist and Latino. I'm kind of like a walking target. Bullied a lot. They found you and helped them with suicidal thoughts. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Goosebumps fan. Don't make me cry. I shoved my transness deep down and started wearing a cowboy hat the year before I finally came out. Many such cases. Leto Delos, my dad is an alcoholic and silent Jen. Every now and then he will just randomly tell me, I don't care if you are gay. I'm super straight. But sexuality is fluid. He does think the Kinsey scale is real. Considering his age, I'm not going to expect more. Yeah, there are, like, I was talking about this with a friend the other day of, like, parents who are generally, like, they want to be accepting. They want to live by the idea of, like, oh, you know, whatever. If you're into this, like, you should, you know, I don't need to know about it. Like, they really want to live that do what makes you happy life, but they also have these internalized ideas that they just don't want to work through. When people talk about ideas around deconstructing, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the ideas around like anti-racism and the most recent Matt Walsh movie. It's like when people talk about ideas about deconstructing, that's why people say, like, it's important to have these conversations. So we can fucking get to the bottom of these issues. So people aren't just holding on to these weird, like, phobias for their entire lives. Like, how many parents, how many people in their 40s, 50s, like, had somebody that they let go, that they might have been happier with, that they might have been able to lead a happier, more fulfilling life with? How many people have turned to alcoholism or drugs because they just felt so suffocated and suppressed? Because that was the generation they grew up in. And when I think about all that shit, I have a really hard time giving a fuck about like, oh, all these kids are identifying as trans, or 30% of non-binary kids grow out of it. Like, I don't give a fuck. Let people discover who they are early and often. Give them the space to understand who they want to be, so they can live the most happy and productive lives possible. King Kerplunk, it's so hard to undo repression. It literally affects your brain to have these phobias for weeks or months at a time. It affects your brain for life, but the repression of society is constant. It is literally poisoning your amygdala. Yeah. Thank you, Laymeyer, for the algorithm. We are, goddamn, y'all. All right, no more sex talk. Y'all have, we got a hawk TUAH on that thing, y'all. Never forget the time my dad got drunk and told me he thought about doing stuff with men to check if he was gay or not. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but did not need to know that. Yeah, that sounds like drunk talk. Yeah, serious addiction stems from trauma. Gay and trans kids have a lot of. Okay, so that I will push back on that a little bit. That is not the only cause of addiction, but it can be, right? Like, just like, you know, what people call laziness or a lack of drive or porn addiction, or, you know, whatever we've talked about, that can be from trauma. That can be from emotional abuse. But there's also other underlying issues it can be. So it's not fair. And I hope I didn't make it sound like I was saying like, oh, I don't like doing the like Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate thing of like, oh, you're not actually lazy or depressed. You need to clean your room, bucko. Like, I hope I don't do any of that shit or come across that way, because that's really not what I'm trying to do. Psilocybin. I love how I sound everything out like a fucking 5-year-old. Bussy can save this world. So true, bestie. If I hear hawk toe one more time, I'll go crazy. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I grew out of being NB, so incredibly glad for that phase, because no way I would have been able to accept myself as fully trans right off the bat. I mean, again, many such cases.